Today I'm sharing a topic close to my heart: how to become fluent in English. Learning a language isn't just about memorizing grammar rules or building a vocabulary list. It's a journey that requires consistency, practice, and passion. Whether you're starting from scratch or stuck at an intermediate level, this story will guide you step by step with practical tips, relatable struggles, and real solutions. Imagine this. Fluency is like building a house. First, you need a solid foundation, the basics. Then comes the framework, daily habits. Finally, you'll decorate it with unique touches, personal flair, and expression. Through this story, I'll introduce a boy named Alex who dreams of becoming fluent in English. His journey, struggles, and strategies will feel just like talking to a friend. You'll see how Alex, step by step, became confident in his English-speaking skills, and you can follow the same path. Now let's dive into Alex's story, where you'll find inspiration and actionable tips woven into his everyday life. The story. "Hi, my name is Alex," he started, his voice trembling slightly. "Today I'm sharing my story about learning English. If you're like me, you've probably felt nervous, frustrated, or even embarrassed about speaking in English, but trust me, it doesn't have to stay that way." Alex sat on the park bench, flipping through a well-worn notebook. It was filled with scribbles, practice sentences, and even some doodles. He remembered the first time he realized how important English was. "It was at school," he said, his face lighting up with a mixture of excitement and regret. "My teacher asked me to speak about my favorite hobby. I froze. I had the ideas in my mind, but the words wouldn't come out. That day I decided, no more fear. I would learn English fluently, no matter how long it took. Step 1. Start small and build confidence." Alex began by focusing on small, achievable goals. "At first, I didn't worry about speaking perfectly," he explained. "I started with just one sentence a day. For example, I'd wake up and say, 'Today is a sunny day.' Simple, right? But it made a huge difference." He also surrounded himself with English. "I put sticky notes on everything in my room, desk, chair, mirror. This way I learned vocabulary without even realizing it." Step 2. Listen more. Speak often. One of Alex's biggest breakthroughs came from listening. "I listened to podcasts, songs, and even cartoons in English. At first I didn't understand much, but I kept at it. Over time I started picking up phrases and pronunciation." To practice speaking, Alex joined a local English club. "I was scared at first," he admitted, "but I told myself mistakes are proof that you're learning." Soon, I found myself laughing and talking with people, even if my grammar wasn't perfect. Step 3. Think in English. A turning point for Alex was when he started thinking in English. "This one's a game changer," he said with a grin. "Instead of translating from my native language, I began forming thoughts directly in English. For example, when I wanted water, I'd think, 'I need water,' not translate from my native language. It felt weird at first, but became natural over time." Step 4. Learn from mistakes. Alex laughed as he remembered some of his funniest mistakes. "Once I said, 'I am boring,' instead of 'I am bored.' My friend replied, 'Yes, you are.' But instead of feeling embarrassed, I learned from it. Mistakes are great teachers." Step 5. Use technology and resources. "I love apps," Alex said, holding up his phone. "There are so many tools out there: Duolingo, YouTube tutorials, and language exchange apps. My favorite was recording myself speaking and then listening to it. It helped me catch my mistakes and improve." Step 6. Practice daily and stay consistent. Consistency was Alex's secret weapon. "Even on busy days, I'd spend at least 10 minutes practicing English," he shared. "Some days I'd read a short article. Other days I'd watch a video or practice speaking with a friend." Step 7. Immerse yourself. Alex's biggest leap came when he started immersing himself in English. "I set my phone and social media to English," he explained. "I also started journaling in English. Writing down my thoughts helped me improve both my vocabulary and confidence. Step 8. Celebrate progress. Finally, Alex stressed the importance of celebrating small victories. Every time I learned a new word or had a successful conversation, I'd treat myself, maybe a chocolate or an extra episode of my favorite English show. Developing a habit of learning. Here's the thing, Alex said, imagining he was giving advice to a group of friends. Fluency doesn't come from one big effort. It's the result of tiny, consistent actions over time. Think of it like planting a tree. You water it a little every day, and eventually it grows tall and strong. One of Alex's habits was dedicating specific times each day to English. Morning was for listening. While I got ready or had breakfast, I'd play an English podcast or news program. During lunch breaks, I'd chat with my language partner or practice speaking in the mirror. Evenings were for reading, whether it was a short story or just the subtitles on a show. The power of reading aloud. Reading aloud became one of Alex's favorite practices. When you read aloud, you train your mouth and your brain to work together, he explained. It's like exercising your speaking muscles. At first, he felt silly doing it, but over time, Alex noticed his pronunciation improving. I'd pick simple articles or dialogues from my favorite shows and read them out loud. I'd even mimic the character's tone and accent. It made learning so much fun. Building a supportive environment. Another thing Alex emphasized was the importance of a supportive environment. I surrounded myself with people who encouraged me, he said. Whether it was my English club friends, my language partner, or even my family cheering me on, their support kept me motivated. Alex also avoided negativity. There will always be people who criticize or laugh at your mistakes. Ignore them. Focus on those who uplift you and believe in your potential. Expanding vocabulary. Through context. Instead of memorizing long lists of words, Alex focused on learning vocabulary and context. I'd pick up phrases from conversations, movies, or books, he shared. For example, instead of just learning the word delicious, I'd learn how to use it. This cake is delicious. It made the words stick in my memory. He also kept a small notebook where he jotted down new words and expressions. Every week, I'd review my notes and try using those words in sentences. The more I used them, the more natural they felt. Overcoming the fear of speaking. I'll be honest, Alex said. The hardest part was speaking in front of others. I was so afraid of making mistakes or being judged. To overcome this, Alex started small. He practiced with friends who were patient and understanding. We'd have short conversations in English, and they'd correct me gently when needed, he said. He also started speaking to himself. I'd look in the mirror and talk about my day or describe what I was doing. It felt awkward at first, but it helped me build confidence. Eventually, Alex took the leap and began speaking with strangers. Ordering food at a cafe, asking for directions, or chatting with tourists. All these small interactions added up, he explained. And guess what? Most people were kind and encouraging. They appreciated my effort to communicate in English. Staying motivated during challenges. There were days when Alex felt stuck, like he wasn't improving. It's normal to hit a plateau, he said. But the key is to keep going. Remind yourself why you started and focus on the progress you've already made. To stay motivated, Alex set small rewards for himself. After a month of consistent practice, I treated myself to a new book in English, he shared. It kept me excited about learning. He also found inspiration in success stories. Hearing about others who became fluent reminded me that it's possible for me too, Alex said. The joy of expressing yourself. Finally, Alex reflected on the ultimate reward of fluency, the ability to connect with others. English opened so many doors for me, he said. I made friends from different countries, explored new cultures, and even got a better job. But more than that, Alex cherished the joy of expressing himself. When you can share your thoughts and feelings in another language, It's like discovering a new part of yourself, he said with a smile. Learning English. Beyond the classroom. One thing Alex wished to emphasize was how learning English isn't confined to a classroom or a specific setting. You learn everywhere, he often told friends, in a cafe, at the park, or even while scrolling social media. He remembered how he once overheard two tourists discussing their plans. "I didn't mean to eavesdrop," he said, chuckling, "but their accents and expressions fascinated me. I picked up phrases like, 'What's your take on this?' and 'Let's play it by ear.'" Alex realized that real-life conversations were full of expressions and slang that weren't taught in books. "That's why exposure is so important," he explained. "The more you listen, the more natural your speaking becomes." Making English fun and personal. For Alex, making English a part of his daily life wasn't just about discipline, it was also about creativity. "I'd write short stories in English, even if they didn't make much sense," he said. "It was my way of practicing vocabulary and grammar while having fun." He also created a playlist of his favorite English songs. "I'd sing along, even if I got the lyrics wrong at first," he said with a laugh. Music is such a powerful tool for learning pronunciation and rhythm. Movies and TV shows became another favorite resource. "I'd watch with subtitles at first, then gradually without them," Alex explained. "And if I didn't understand a scene, I'd rewind and watch it again. It was like having a private English lesson every evening." The role of patience and perseverance. Alex's journey wasn't always smooth. There were days when he felt like giving up. "Sometimes it felt like I was climbing a mountain," he admitted. "But I reminded myself, every step forward, no matter how small, is progress." He also learned to be kind to himself. "Don't compare your journey to others," he often said. "Everyone learns at their own pace. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems." Teaching others to learn. As Alex grew more confident in his English skills, he began helping others. "Teaching is one of the best ways to learn," he said. "I'd tutor friends who were just starting out. Explaining concepts to them reinforced my own understanding." He also joined online forums and groups where learners exchanged tips and practiced together. "It was amazing to see people from different countries helping each other," he shared. "It reminded me that language is about connection, not perfection." Turning challenges into opportunities. One of Alex's favorite memories was when he volunteered to give a speech in English at a community event. "I was terrified," he confessed, "but I told myself, this is your chance to grow." Despite his nerves, Alex delivered his speech. He stumbled over a few words, but the audience clapped and encouraged him. "That moment taught me that people appreciate effort more than perfection," he said. Looking to the future now, fluent in English, Alex had big dreams. "Fluency isn't the end. It's the beginning," he often said. "It opens doors to new opportunities, experiences, and friendships." He planned to travel, write a blog about his journey, and even help others achieve fluency. "If I can do it, so can you," he said. Your journey awaits. Alex's story is a testament to the power of perseverance, creativity, and positivity. His journey wasn't just about learning English. It was about discovering himself, building confidence, and connecting with the world. So, as you set out on your own journey to fluency, remember Alex's advice. Start small and stay consistent. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Make learning fun and personal. Surround yourself with supportive people and resources. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Fluency isn't a destination, it's a journey. And just like Alex, you have everything it takes to succeed. Take that first step today, and who knows, one day you'll be the one inspiring others with your story. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Your fluency awaits. Hi, my name is Alex. Today, I'm going to tell you about what it's like for me to go to school. Let me start by saying, I'm not exactly a morning person. The alarm clock is probably my biggest enemy in life. Every morning, it feels like I'm in the middle of my best dream when suddenly, beep, 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 the alarm goes off. 5 more minutes, I tell myself, but it never feels like enough. My mom, who knows all my tricks, walks into the room and says, "Alex, get up or you're going to miss the bus." Groaning, I pull myself out of bed. The smell of pancakes makes it a little easier. Mom knows how to bribe me into action. I sit at the table, still half asleep, as she asks, "Did you finish your homework last night?" I nod quickly, but let's just say there might have been a last-minute rush to get it done. After breakfast, I grab my bag and rush out the door. The bus ride is always an adventure. Some days it's quiet, and I can stare out the window, watching the trees and houses blur past. Other days, my friends are in full-on storytelling mode, sharing jokes that make everyone laugh so hard we forget we're on the way to school. When we arrive, the real fun begins. My school is like a second home to me. It's a mix of old, creaky buildings and a new, shiny sports hall. My favorite part is the playground, where we play soccer during breaks. First class of the day? Math not my favorite. I sit in the back, hoping the teacher won't call on me. But of course, Mr. Carter has a way of knowing who's daydreaming. "Alex, can you solve this equation?" he asks. My heart pounds as I look at the board. After a few moments of panic, I manage to stumble through the answer. "Correct," he says, and I breathe a sigh of relief. The day continues with English, which I love. Today, we're writing a story about our favorite memory. I write about the time my friends and I built a tree house. As the words flow onto the page, I feel like I'm reliving the moment. Lunchtime is the best. My friends and I gather at our usual spot under a big tree. We share sandwiches, trade snacks, and talk about everything: video games, TV shows, and of course, the latest school gossip. In the afternoon, it's time for science. Our teacher, Ms. Green, is super passionate, and her excitement makes even the most boring topics interesting. Today, we're doing an experiment with magnets, and I can't believe how cool it is to see them repel and attract. The last class of the day is gym. I'm not the best athlete, but I give it my all. Today, we're playing basketball. My team loses, but it doesn't matter. We laugh so hard trying to dribble and shoot that it feels like we've won anyway. Before I know it, the bell rings, and school is over. I hop back on the bus, tired but happy. When I get home, I tell my mom about my day as we eat dinner. She laughs when I describe my math panic and says, "See, you're smarter than you think." As I get ready for bed, I think about tomorrow. School is like a little world of its own, full of challenges and surprises. I may not love waking up early, but I wouldn't trade these days for anything. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about how each day at school is like a chapter in a story. Some days are calm, others are full of unexpected twists. It's never boring, that's for sure. The next morning started the same way, the alarm clock doing its job a little too enthusiastically, my mom giving her usual wake-up speech, and me dragging myself to the breakfast table. But today, something different happened on the bus ride. I was sitting by the window, watching the world pass by, when my best friend, Ethan, plopped down next to me. "Hey, Alex, guess what?" he said, his voice buzzing with excitement. "What?" I asked, already curious. "There's a new kid in our class," he said. "I saw him at the office yesterday. He looked super shy." "A new kid? That didn't happen often at our school." "I wonder if he'll sit with us at lunch," I said. Ethan shrugged. "Depends. You know how some kids are nervous at first." When we got to school, the day started like usual. But sure enough, during homeroom, our teacher introduced the new student. "Class, this is Ryan. He just moved here, so let's make him feel welcome." Ryan gave a small wave, looking like he wanted to disappear. I remembered how nervous I was on my first day of school, so I decided to be the one to say hi. At recess, I found Ryan sitting alone on a bench near the soccer field. "Hey Ryan," I said, walking over. "I'm Alex. Want to join us for a game?" He hesitated, but then nodded. It turned out Ryan was an amazing soccer player. My friends were impressed, and by the end of the game, he was laughing and joking with us like he'd been there forever. Back in class, I noticed Ryan seemed more relaxed. During science, Ms. Green paired us up for a project, and Ryan ended up as my partner. "What do you think about magnets?" I asked, trying to break the ice. "They're cool," he said. "My dad's an engineer, so we've done experiments at home." "Really? That's awesome. Maybe you can teach me a thing or two," I said. We worked together to build a magnetic car for our project. By the time we finished, it was the fastest in the class. "Looks like we make a good team," I said, and Ryan smiled. At lunch, Ryan joined us under the big tree. My friends welcomed him like he'd been there all along. We talked about favorite foods, hobbies, and even funny moments from class. Ryan told us about his old school where he'd been part of a robotics club. Ethan's eyes lit up. "You've got to join the club here. We need someone who knows their stuff." Ryan grinned. "Maybe I will." The rest of the day flew by. During gym, Ryan surprised us all by dunking a basketball during practice. Even our gym teacher, Mr. Anderson, was impressed. "Looks like we've got a star athlete in the making," he said. By the time the final bell rang, Ryan didn't look like the shy kid who had walked into class that morning. He was smiling, joking, and high-fiving everyone on the way out. As we rode the bus home, Ethan and I agreed it was a great day. "Ryan's cool," Ethan said. "Glad we made him feel welcome." "Yeah," I said, thinking about how much easier school is when you have friends to share it with. That evening, I told my mom about Ryan. She smiled and said, "It's nice that you reached out to him. Remember, everyone needs a friend, especially on their first day." As I lay in bed, I felt proud of how the day had gone. School isn't just about math problems and science experiments. It's also about the people you meet and the memories you make together. The next morning, I woke up a little earlier than usual. Maybe, just maybe, school wasn't so bad after all. The next day at school felt different. Ryan was already blending in, and it seemed like he was fitting right into our group. At the bus stop, he waved at me and Ethan like we'd been friends forever. As soon as we got to school, Ryan had news for us. "Hey guys, guess what? I talked to the robotics club advisor yesterday. They're doing a big competition soon, and they said I could join." "That's awesome," I said. Ethan chimed in, "You'll have to teach us all the cool stuff you know about building robots." The first class of the day was history, which honestly is not my favorite. Mrs. Parker was going on about ancient civilizations, and I was doodling in my notebook when Ryan leaned over and whispered, "This reminds me of a show I watched about ancient Egypt." "What show?" I whispered back, curious. "It's called Secrets of the Pharaohs. It's all about how they built the pyramids." "Cool," I said, suddenly more interested in pyramids than ever. At lunch, Ryan brought something new to the table, literally. He opened his lunchbox to reveal a stack of homemade sushi. "Whoa," Ethan said, eyes wide. "Did you make that?" Ryan laughed. "No, my mom did. She's a chef." "Your mom's a chef?" I asked, impressed. "No wonder you brought the fanciest lunch here." Ryan shrugged. "She loves cooking. It's her way of making sure I never miss home too much." That got me thinking about how important family is. "Your mom's cool," I said. "My mom makes great pancakes, but sushi? That's next level." The afternoon brought us back to the science lab. Ms. Green announced we'd be starting a new project, building bridges out of popsicle sticks. "Your bridge will be tested for strength," she said. "The team with the strongest bridge wins a prize." Ryan and I teamed up again. "I've done something like this before," he said. "The key is to use triangles in the design. They're the strongest shape." "Triangles, got it," I said, feeling confident with Ryan on my team. We sketched out a design and started building. By the time the bell rang, our bridge wasn't finished, but it looked solid. Ryan grinned. We're definitely winning this. The last class of the day was art, which is my favorite. Our teacher, Mrs. Kim, asked us to draw something that made us happy. I drew the soccer field where we played during recess. Ryan sketched a robot, which didn't surprise me. When Mrs. Kim saw his drawing, she said, "That's incredible, Ryan. You've got a real talent." Ryan beamed, and I couldn't help but feel happy for him. When school ended, Ryan, Ethan, and I hung out by the bus, talking about the bridge project and how we'd spend our weekend. Ryan mentioned a park nearby where he used to fly kites with his dad. "I still have the kite," he said. "We should go there sometime." As I got off the bus and walked home, I felt like something had changed in the past 2 days. School wasn't just a place to learn about history or science. It was where friendships grew, where new memories were made, and where every day brought something unexpected. At dinner, I told my mom about the bridge project. She smiled and said, "Sounds like you and Ryan make a great team." "Yeah, we do," I said. "He's really smart, and he's already teaching me a lot." That night, as I got ready for bed, I thought about how much fun school could be when you have good friends by your side. I couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring. The next morning, I felt a strange sense of excitement as I got ready for school. It wasn't because of a test or a special event. It was the thought of seeing my friends and working on the bridge project with Ryan. The bus ride to school was lively as usual. Ethan was already talking about some new video game he wanted to play over the weekend, and Ryan was sharing tips for making our bridge even stronger. "We should test the weight distribution," he said. "That's what my dad always says about structures." When we got to school, the morning started with math class. Mr. Thompson handed out a quiz, and I groaned inwardly. Math quizzes weren't my strong suit. But as I worked through the problems, I remembered something Ryan had said the day before about looking for patterns. Surprisingly, it helped. After the quiz, I leaned over to Ryan. "Hey, thanks for that tip about patterns. I think it saved me on question 3. Ryan grinned. "Anytime. I'm just glad my random advice helped." Recess was a blast. We played a quick game of soccer, and this time, Ryan wasn't shy about showing his skills. He dribbled past 2 defenders and scored an amazing goal. "Ryan, you're a machine," Ethan shouted, clapping him on the back. The rest of the day flew by, and soon we were back in the science lab, putting the final touches on our bridge. Ryan was meticulous, making sure every stick was glued in the right spot. "If we win, it's all thanks to your triangles," I said. He laughed. "It's a team effort, Alex. Don't sell yourself short." When Ms. Green tested the bridges, ours held the most weight. "Congratulations, Alex and Ryan," she said. "You've built the strongest bridge in the class." Ryan and I high-fived as the rest of the class cheered. By lunch, word had spread about our bridge victory. Even kids from other classes were curious to see it. Ethan joked, "You guys are going to be famous. Don't forget about us when you're engineering bridges in real life." At lunch, Ryan shared more about his old school. It was smaller than this, but we had a great robotics club. I miss it sometimes, but I think I'm going to like it here. "You're definitely part of the crew now," I said. "And hey, you're already the bridge building champion." In art class, Mrs. Kim gave us a fun assignment: design your dream home. Ryan immediately started sketching a futuristic house with solar panels and a robot assistant. I decided to draw a tree house with a slide leading to a pool. Ethan, of course, drew a castle. "Why a tree house?" Ryan asked, looking at my drawing. "I've always wanted one," I said. "It seems like the perfect place to hang out with friends." "Maybe we can build one someday," Ryan said. "You know, after we conquer the world of engineering." When the final bell rang, I felt a mix of accomplishment and anticipation. Every day at school felt like a new adventure, and having friends like Ryan and Ethan made it even better. That evening, my mom noticed I was in a good mood. "You've been smiling all evening," she said. "What's got you so happy?" School's just been really fun lately, I said. I guess having good friends makes a big difference. She nodded. Friends are important, Alex. They make the hard days easier and the good days even better. As I got ready for bed, I thought about everything that had happened over the past few days. The new kid becoming a close friend, the bridge project, and the little moments that made school more than just a place to learn. It was a place to grow, to laugh, and to be yourself. Hello, my dear friends. Today I want to share with you the story of a young man who took a leap of faith to improve his English skills. His name is Alex, a 23-year-old from a small town where opportunities to practice English were scarce. Alex could read and understand English well, but when it came to speaking, he often found himself struggling for words or feeling too shy to try. One day, he decided that the only way to truly master English was to immerse himself in the language. So, he saved up money and planned a trip to London, a city he had always dreamed of visiting. He was excited, nervous, and determined to make this journey a turning point in his life. In this story, Alex narrates his experiences in a conversational style, just like he would if he were sitting across from you, telling his tale. It's a simple, heartfelt account of his struggles, adventures, and triumphs in London. As you read, you'll feel as though Alex is talking directly to you, sharing his lessons and the moments that changed his life. Now, let's dive into Alex's story. Story. Hi, my name is Alex, and today I'm sharing something very close to my heart, my journey to London to learn English. I've always been fascinated by the language, but I never had the confidence to speak it fluently. Back in my hometown, most people spoke our native language, and English was just something we studied in school. I could understand movies or books in English, but the moment I tried speaking, my tongue seemed to tie itself into knots. One day, while watching a documentary about London, I thought to myself, what if I went there? The idea seemed wild at first. I didn't know anyone there, and I wasn't sure if I could even survive in such a big city. But something inside me said, Alex, if you want to speak English fluently, you need to take this step. So I started saving every penny I could. I worked extra hours at my part-time job, skipped unnecessary expenses, and planned meticulously. After months of preparation, I finally had enough to book my tickets and arrange for a 3-month stay in London. When I landed at Heathrow Airport, I felt like I was in a dream. The first thing that hit me was the sheer diversity. I heard English spoken in so many accents and styles, it was overwhelming but thrilling at the same time. I had booked a small room in a shared apartment in East London. My flatmates were from different parts of the world, and they all spoke English. It was the perfect environment for me to practice. The first few days were tough. I remember going to a coffee shop and struggling to order a simple latte. The barista had to repeat her questions several times because I couldn't understand her British accent. I felt embarrassed, but I reminded myself, this is why you're here, Alex. Keep trying. Every morning, I would go out for a walk, listening to conversations around me. I joined a local English language course where the teachers encouraged us to speak as much as possible. They emphasized that making mistakes was part of the learning process. One day, I met Sarah, a fellow student from Italy. She was also there to learn English, and we became study partners. We would go to parks, museums, and libraries. As I was saying, my journey to London was about so much more than just learning English. It was about discovering myself. Let me tell you about some of the little moments that made a big difference along the way. One thing that stood out to me was how kind and patient people were when I tried to speak. On my second week in London, I went to a small bakery near my apartment. The owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Green, greeted me warmly and asked how my day was going. I struggled to respond, fumbling over my words, but she waited with a smile. "You're not from around here, are you?" she asked. I nodded and explained, "I am here to learn English." She chuckled softly and said, "Well, young man, you've come to the right place. London is full of stories, and every story needs a listener and a teller. Keep practicing, and you'll do just fine. Her words stayed with me. Every time I walked past her bakery, I'd wave, and eventually, I grew comfortable enough to have short conversations with her. Getting out of my comfort zone. One of the most intimidating experiences was using public transportation. The London Underground, or the Tube, was like a maze to me at first. I remember standing in front of the ticket machine, unsure of which ticket to buy. A man in a suit noticed my confusion and offered to help. "Where are you heading?" he asked. I go to Oxford Circus," I stammered. He smiled and guided me through the process, even giving me tips on how to navigate the tube map. It was such a small act of kindness, but it gave me the confidence to use public transport regularly. Every time I successfully found my way, I felt a little more capable. The local language exchange. About a month into my stay, I discovered a language exchange group at a nearby cafe. It was a place where people from different countries gathered to practice speaking English and other languages. I was nervous at first, but when I arrived, I was welcomed warmly by the group leader, Mark. "Just relax and speak," he said. "We're all here to learn, so don't worry about mistakes." In that group, I met people from all over the world: Brazil, Japan, Turkey, Spain, you name it. We shared stories, laughed at our funny mistakes, and supported each other. One night, I told a story about a misunderstanding I had with a British shopkeeper, and everyone burst out laughing. It was the first time I felt proud of making people laugh in English. The cultural immersion beyond learning English, living in London, gave me a glimpse into its rich culture. I visited iconic places like the British Museum, Buckingham Palace, and the Tower Bridge. But what I loved most were the little things: the street performers in Covent Garden, the Sunday markets in Brick Lane, and the quiet moments in Hyde Park. Every interaction, whether it was asking for directions or chatting with a bus driver, was an opportunity to practice. Slowly but surely, my confidence grew. Saying goodbye. As my 3 months in London came to an end, I felt a mix of emotions. I was proud of how far I had come, but I also felt sad to leave the city that had taught me so much. My flatmates threw me a small farewell party, and Sarah, my study partner, gave me a notebook with a heartfelt note. "Alex, you've inspired me to keep trying, no matter how hard it gets. Your determination is a reminder that learning is a journey, not a destination. Thank you for being my friend." When I returned home, I noticed how much my English had improved. My friends and family were amazed at how confidently I could speak. But more importantly, I had gained a sense of independence and resilience that went beyond language skills. The lessons I learned: immerse yourself. Surround yourself with the language you want to learn. Even if you can't travel, listen to English music, watch movies, and talk to people online. Don't fear mistakes. Making mistakes is part of the process. Every time you mess up, you learn something new. Practice. Every day, consistency is key. Even 10 minutes a day can make a difference. Be patient. Learning takes time. Celebrate small victories and keep going. Now, whenever someone asks me about my time in London, I smile and say, "It was the best decision I ever made." Life after London. When I returned to my hometown, things felt both familiar and different. My old room was just as I'd left it, with books piled up on the desk and a world map pinned to the wall. But something had changed within me. I had this newfound confidence that I hadn't felt before. I was eager to put everything I'd learned into practice and see how my daily life would transform. My friends noticed the change right away. I remember my best friend, Mark, who had always teased me about my hesitant English, saying, "Hey Alex, did you switch places with a Londoner? You sound different, man." We laughed, but there was truth to what he said. I wasn't just speaking English, I was thinking in it. Words came to me more naturally, and conversations felt less like a puzzle and more like a flow. The first real test. A week after returning home, I got an unexpected call from a local business owner who had heard about my trip. He was looking for someone to help him communicate with foreign clients and manage emails in English. The idea of using my English in a professional setting was both exciting and nerve-wracking. But I thought back to London, to all those times I'd pushed through awkward moments and told myself, if I could survive ordering food from a fast-talking barista, I can handle this. The job interview was a mix of nerves and determination. Sitting across from Mr. Patel, the business owner, I reminded myself to speak slowly and clearly. I shared my story, talked about my time in London, and even mentioned Mrs. Green and her bakery as a moment that showed me the kindness of strangers. When I finished, he nodded with a smile and said, "You've got the job, Alex. I like your spirit." Working for Mr. Patel was more than just a job. It was another phase of my learning journey. I spent my days handling phone calls, drafting emails, and even assisting during meetings with clients who spoke fluent English. The work kept me on my toes, but it also solidified my skills. The more I practiced, the more natural it became. Helping others on their journey. With my confidence growing, I felt a strong urge to help others who faced the same struggles I once did. I started hosting small, informal English conversation meetups at a local cafe. It was my way of recreating the language exchange group from London that had helped me so much. At first, only a handful of people came, most of them nervous and unsure, just as I had been. I shared stories from my trip, encouraged them to speak without fear, and reminded them that making mistakes was a good thing. One day, a young student named Daniel came up to me after a meetup. He looked like I once did, curious but hesitant. "Alex, do you really think I can get better? I've tried so many times, but I always freeze when I have to talk," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder and said, "Daniel, I used to be just like you. The first time I tried to order coffee in London, I couldn't even finish my sentence without stuttering. But look at me now. If I can do it, so can you." It's all about practice, patience, and believing in yourself. The power of connection. One of the greatest gifts my time in London gave me was the understanding that language is about connection. It's not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about telling stories, sharing experiences, and building bridges between people. I began volunteering as a guide for tourists visiting our town. It was a perfect opportunity to meet people from different places and hear their stories while sharing mine. One afternoon, I met a family from Canada who were passing through on a road trip. They asked if I could show them around the town's historical sites. As we walked, we chatted about everything from food to culture to, of course, the weather. I realized how far I'd come when I was able to share jokes and even teach them a few words in my native language. By the end of the day, they said, "You should come visit Canada sometime, Alex. You'd fit right in." Reflecting on my journey. Looking back on everything, I realized that my journey wasn't just about learning English. It was about discovering who I could become when I stepped out of my comfort zone. London was the catalyst, but the real work happened in those moments when I felt like giving up but pushed through anyway. If there's one thing I want everyone to take from my story, it's this. You don't need to be perfect to start. Whether you're learning English, trying a new skill, or chasing a dream, it's the effort and persistence that count. There will be moments when you feel embarrassed or unsure, but those moments are where the magic happens. That's where you grow. Where I am now. Today, I continue to practice my English every day, even though I'm back in my hometown. I read books, watch shows, and still host my conversation meetups. Moving beyond the language barrier. As my blog started gaining more followers, I realized that I was doing more than just sharing my story. I was becoming a bridge for others who faced the same struggles I once did. People from different parts of the world, each with their own dreams and challenges, began reaching out to me. They asked questions, shared their fears about learning English, and sought advice on how to improve their speaking skills. This was something I had never imagined when I first stepped foot in London. The idea that my journey, my struggles, and my small victories could help someone else on the other side of the world was humbling. It made me appreciate how language can unite us all, regardless of where we come from. One of the most memorable moments came when a reader from Brazil, named Carlos, sent me a message. He told me how he had been stuck in his English learning journey for years, feeling frustrated by his inability to speak fluently. He confessed that after reading my blog, he felt inspired to try again. "If Alex can do it," he said, "maybe I can too." That message hit me hard. I realized that my struggles were not isolated. Every person learning a new language faces moments of doubt and fear, but it's the perseverance and belief in oneself that make the difference. Carlos's words reminded me that we are all in this together, and that sharing our experiences, no matter how small, can help others break through their barriers. Becoming more than just a language learner. Over time, my approach to learning English evolved. I stopped focusing so much on the mistakes and the fear of sounding incorrect. Instead, I embraced the process. I started learning not just the words, but the stories, the history, the culture behind the language. The more I understood the context, the more natural my English became. It was no longer just about speaking fluently. It was about understanding and connecting. One weekend, I decided to take a trip to Oxford to visit the university and immerse myself even more in the history of the English language. Walking through the ancient halls and hearing the stories of great writers and thinkers who had walked those same paths made me feel like a part of something bigger. It wasn't just about me and my journey anymore. It was about joining a long tradition of people who had used this language to tell stories, to inspire, and to learn. At that moment, I realized that learning English wasn't just a practical skill. It was a lifelong journey that would continue to shape my life. Whether I was reading a book, watching a film, or having a conversation, I was continuously expanding my understanding of the world. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to share with others. The power of teaching and giving back. Eventually, I took another step in my journey by becoming a part-time English tutor. I never thought I'd be in a position to teach someone else, but life has a funny way of surprising you. The first student I worked with was a young woman named Anya, who had moved to our town from Russia. She was shy, unsure of her abilities, and terrified of speaking in front of anyone. I remembered how it felt to be in her shoes, how I had once feared making mistakes in front of others. I shared my own experiences with her, explaining how I had struggled in London, how I'd embarrassed myself countless times but always pushed through. Slowly but surely, Anya began to find her voice. She made small improvements every week, building up her confidence. We laughed at the awkward moments, but we also celebrated every step forward. Teaching was an incredibly rewarding experience. Not only did I get to help someone else find the confidence to speak English, but I also realized how much I had learned over the years. The process of explaining concepts to someone else reinforced my own knowledge, and I started noticing the progress I had made as well. A global community of learners. As my network of students and blog followers grew, I began to see a pattern. The struggle of learning English wasn't limited to one country or culture. It was a universal experience. I received messages from people in all corners of the world: China, India, Germany, Egypt, each person facing similar challenges, but all determined to improve. This realization made me want to create a space for people to come together and support each other. I started hosting online group lessons and forums where learners could meet, practice, and share their experiences. The group quickly became a tight-knit community, offering encouragement, resources, and advice. People from different backgrounds found common ground in their shared desire to learn and grow. I also began collaborating with other language learners and teachers worldwide, offering free webinars and online workshops. We created a space where people could practice speaking, ask questions, and get real-time feedback. The global reach of these sessions made me realize just how connected we all were, despite the different languages we spoke. Language was no longer a barrier, it was a tool that united us all. Moving forward. Now, as I continue to help others with their English journey, I remember my own path, the mistakes, the fears, the doubts, but also the triumphs, the moments of growth, and the friendships I made along the way. Each step of this journey has been filled with lessons that go beyond language. It's taught me patience, perseverance, and the importance of supporting one another. I've come to understand that learning a language isn't just about mastering grammar or vocabulary. It's about the willingness to communicate, to connect, and to be open to new experiences. Whether I'm writing a blog post, giving a lesson, or having a conversation with a friend, I realize that I'm still on the journey, and that's what makes it exciting. So, to anyone who is reading this, whether you're just starting out or you've been learning for years, remember this: you are not alone. Your journey may be filled with ups and downs, but every step you take brings you closer to fluency. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because it's in those moments that you learn the most. And most importantly, keep pushing forward. London, with all its history and charm, taught me one important lesson. The only way to truly fail is to give up. So go ahead, take the next step. Embrace the journey, and you'll find that the world opens up in ways you never imagined. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll be the one sharing your story with someone else, just like I've shared mine with you.